Let's welcome Joe Oestreich to the stage. Come on.
This will work. I probably don't even need the microphone. Can
Yeah, put it on.
everybody hear me okay?
Use it. I'll turn the echo off. I had the Bruce Springsteen echo on there.
Can everybody hear me okay if I just read like this?
Yes.
Okay. If it ends up being not loud enough, just
All right.
somebody go like this and I'll slide over here. Thanks so much to John and everybody here at the Lido Gallery for hosting this really cool event. There are like interesting snacks around the corner there, super cool gifts here in the shop. We'll be selling some books afterwards. I'll be signing some books if anybody would like me to deface your copy of the book. I'm going to read a little bit from the first chapter here.
You know what, Joe? I shut the echo off.
Okay.
This way your cameraman will get
There we
good
go. All right,
sound.
I'll go ahead and
Really
read that.
good.
There, that's smart.
You want
Okay.
use your voice, yeah.
That sounds good, John. Thanks. So, I'm going to read a little bit from the first chapter here, the headliners. I don't think you need to know anything going into this other than the fact that the band Watershed is about to go on a 2-week tour. And my wife, for reasons that will become clear in about 5 minutes, isn't exactly thrilled about this prospect. Okay? So, I'll read a little bit, we'll play a song or two. If there are any questions, we can answer some questions. Other than that, we can go eat snickerdoodles and drink some tea. Okay, so this is from the headliners. First thing you learn is that you always gotta wait. Wait to get noticed, wait to get signed, wait to get famous. I'm standing backstage behind black velour curtains, waiting to go on. Pre-show jitters have me shifting from my right sneaker to my left and back like a kindergartner 10 kids deep in the restroom line. A Pabst long neck sweats in my hand. I take a pull, and I dry my palm down the thigh of my girl-cut jeans. Then I lean against the cinder block wall, heavily sharpied with graffiti, "Call for a discreet blowjob!" And clever rebuttals from the graffiti annotators. "What's a discreet blowjob? Will I notice it?" And I wait. I'm just going to apologize right now for the language. This is a book about rock and roll, so I guess you had to expect some of that. I am an English professor, so I'll explain it this way. I'm incorporating the vernacular of the genre. And I wait. Biggie pokes his head between the curtains, a mag light stretching from his mouth like a metal cigar. "We're set to pop," he says. He aims the beam at my base. "Let's do this." "Where's everybody else?" I say. He takes the light from his mouth and draws figure eights across the backstage area. "They aren't back here?" Before I can shake my head no, Biggie has pulled the curtain shut and disappeared. I take a drink and imagine what waits on the other side. A sports arena. The floor sold out from row A to double Z, and girls smelling like fruit-flavored perfume and bummed cigarettes, wrapped tight in low-slung jeans, their belly buttons pierced, their breasts defying gravity thanks to the tautness of youth and the bra engineers at Victoria's Secret. The girls put one hand on each other's shoulders and boost themselves onto the folding chairs to see over the heads of the boys standing in front of them. These dough-faced boys, in their new concert t-shirts, half drunk on parking lot beers, thwack each other and point out which steroided-up security guards to avoid when, the second the lights go down, they'll ass an elbow up to the front row. Until then, everybody keeps an eye on the stage, studying a roadie as he puts the gear through the final tweaks, the testing 1, 2, 3s and wank, wank power chords, to make doubly and triply sure the guitars and amps are wired for sound. The digitally reproduced voice of AC/DC's Brian Johnson blasts through the PA at 102 decibels, "Fire!" saluting those about to rock. Marijuana smoke wafts to the ceiling trusses, and every few minutes the crowd noise swells when a whole section thinks they've seen a band member mingling with the stagehands, VIPs, and contest winners who huddle in the wings. Just before the house lights drop, the stage manager appears. He walks coolly from rig to rig, giving the microphone cables, speaker wires, and blinking red lights, the tangled landscape of rock, a final once-over. Then he pulls a mag light from his back pocket and shines it toward the mixing board, across the sea of the floor, over the backwards ball caps of the boys in row J, over the hairsprayed heads of the girls in row K, Through the rising smoke and devil horn fists and AC/DC, fire! Commanding one and all to stand up and be counted for what we are about to receive. The message the mag light carries 52 rows back to the sound man and the light tech and an arena full of kids who've paid $50 and waited months for this very moment is this. It's showtime. It is showtime. But from my spot backstage, in this Detroit bar, on this Thursday night, funny, here's what I see when I pull open the curtains. 20 by 20 feet of wide open floor. No chattering girls in row K. No blustery boys in row J. There aren't any rows. Hell, there aren't any seats. So no, there's not even one security thug on duty. The spot right in front of the stage is anyone's for the taking. But there aren't any takers. Tonight, in this club, dishearteningly named Small's Bar, the front row is empty. I walk through the curtains and out to the floor. There are exactly 5 people in the audience. 5 people who've paid $5 each to see Watershed play a 50-minute set. All 5 are excruciatingly well behaved, standing in the back, politely waiting for us to start. Everyone seems hyper-aware of his voice, speaking in hushed tones, not wanting to disturb the peace. The sound guy has queued up the Foo Fighters, but quietly. Detroit may be Rock City, but Small's Bar is as loud as a library. I move toward the stage where the opening band, a local act that was supposed to help fill out the crowd, should be tearing down their gear. But earlier, when we were checking in to the Fairfield Inn, we got an email from the guy who owns Smalls. Opener dropped off the bill. Tonight doesn't look promising. I'm okay with canceling. We shook our heads and laughed. What else could we do? This is the first night of the tour. The launch party. Headlining in Detroit, baby. Home of Motown Records and the MC5, the Stooges and the White Stripes. If we drove 200 miles to play for 5 people, so be it. No way we were canceling. Still, as I scan the back wall where the crowd is leaning like a police lineup, it depresses me that I know 4 of the 5 by name. There's Joe the Animal, who's a semi-pro football player, and he always helps us load and unload the van. In fact, a few hours ago, when we pulled up to the club for load-in, the Animal was standing on the sidewalk wearing weightlifting gloves, doing torso twists and knee bends. I got here early, he said, holding the door open for me, because I know you guys will sell out a dump like this. I didn't want to undermine his optimism, so as I hefted my bases past him, I said, we'll find out soon enough, Animal. He followed me into the bar, taking in Smalls and all its smallness. This joint doesn't sell advance tickets or anything, he said. I didn't tell him that we rarely play venues that sell tickets of any kind, let alone in advance. A hand stamp? Absolutely. Wristband? Sure. But tickets? This is a real rock club, man, I said. We love playing shows like this. Now, as I'm walking toward the bar to see if Biggie has found my bandmates, the Animal spots me. He checks his watch and gestures toward the mostly empty room as if to say, you love playing shows like this? Compared to lots of bars we play, Smalls isn't so small. It's divided into 2 separate spaces, the band room and the bar room. The band room, with its painted cinder block and high ceiling, has the feel of a warehouse. Like Detroit itself, the room is industrial, utilitarian. If not for the wooden stage along one wall, it would be a perfect spot for silk-screening t-shirts or polybagging hex nuts. The bar room was built in 1923 as a bank, and the current incarnation recalls the original Captain of Industry era design. Art Deco lamps hang from the coffered ceiling, and stained glass windows throw colors on a mahogany bar top. Connecting the 2 sides is a border zone, with pool tables, a nook for bands to sell their merchandise, and 2 tiny and well-graffitied restrooms. Think airplane lavatories with cocks drawn on the walls. The beauty of Small's 2-room layout is that you can isolate from whatever misery awaits on the band side by camping out on the bar side. And there, elbows bent on the mahogany, is where I find my bandmates. Everyone but Colin, anyway. Dave Massica, the drummer, is trading a 5 for a Budweiser. His salt and pepper hair spiked high is the second cut at Little Turtle Country Club, where he works as a cook. One stool over is Mark Pooch Borer, the rhythm guitar player. He's chatting up the bartender who, with her bangs and tattoos, has got to be a jammer on a roller derby squad. Now, Pooch wears horn-rimmed glasses, so if it was late enough and you were drunk enough, you might catch this scene and swear you saw Buddy Holly making time with Betty Page. So there's Pooch, chewing gum and smiling the smile that makes girls in the crowd, when there are girls, when there is a crowd, gather at his side of the stage and yell, "Poochie!" But Betty is focusing on our roadie, Ricky C., who's winding through one of his greatest road story hits about the night he met David Johansen of the New York Dolls. "So I say to Johansen," Ricky says, "I was at the Dolls show in Columbus in '74. And Johansen pauses for a second, starts walking away like he didn't hear me. Then he turns back and says, 'That's funny, you don't look queer.'" Blue language. "Wow," Betty says, her lips shaped into a red O. "That's perfect." Now Biggie's waving the mag light in our faces. "You ladies gonna play sometime tonight?" I set my empty bottle on the bar. Without taking her eyes off Ricky C., Betty twists a new one open for me. "You find Colin?" I say to Biggie. "You three." He nods towards Dave, Pooch, and me. "Get your asses to the stage so we can start the minute I do." And he walks away in search of the AWOL guitar player. Dave laughs and says, "Playing in a rock band is stupid." He and Pooch order up another round of buds and settle deeper into their stools. By most quantifiable standards, playing in a rock band is stupid. 5 paying civilians at $5 a head means come 2 a.m. Watershed will make $25 at the door. Divided by the 4 guys in the band, that's $6.25 each. But nobody will pocket his 6 1/4. We almost never see any cash. Instead, we pay for the gas, for the hotels, for the trips up and down the Wendy's Super Value menu. We dig into our pockets to cover 5 or 6 shows in a row, hoping to eventually land a high-dollar gig that will get us all reimbursed. Sometimes this gamble works, sometimes not. On our most lucrative tours, we come home with $100 or so. Usually we lose twice that. So we bankroll the gigs the American way with credit cards. Rock now, pay later. Even Biggie, the tour manager, is out here on his own nickel. The only member of the Watershed camp guaranteed to land in the black is Ricky C., who works for the cut rate of $25 a day. And he only turns a profit because he can eat for a week on Hostess cupcakes and skim milk.